Hey bitch, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is a very special / unique one. I actually might make this into a series because I talk so much about this on my channel, and I have been talking about this for several years on this channel, and that is exploitation of animals in movies and in Hollywood. If you're unfamiliar with my stance on this, I just personally believe that it's wrong to exploit horses, and we're going to be mostly analyzing horses in this video, but obviously this does occur with other species of animal, domestic and wild as well, not just horses. Horses that are used in movies, TV shows, modeling shoots, etc. are almost always mishandled, mistreated, underweight, overweight, being ridden improperly, people using unfitted tack on these horses or not proper riding equitation, aka making the situation dangerous for the riders, the horses, potentially causing severe damage to horses by riding in ill-fitted tack, etc. The list really goes on and on. If you want a detailed analysis of why it's wrong to exploit horses in movies, TV shows, etc., I can definitely make a separate video on that, although I have talked a lot about it on this channel. But there's a huge difference between responsibly using horses in your music videos, TV shows, movies, etc., versus irresponsibly using them and, in my opinion, exploiting them. All too often you just see people who cut a lot of corners and they just want to look cool and they don't really know what they're doing, and they find a horse from some random person on the street and then they use it in their video, and they have really no idea what they're doing, and it's a terrible situation all around, and it promotes bad horsemanship, bad handling of horses, bad treatment of horses, and it just encourages a long laundry list of maltreatment of horses, and it's a huge problem for equestrians. However, today's video, we are going to be talking about and analyzing possibly my favorite movie of all time. And I say this because, first of all, I love aliens. Second of all, I love horses. And third of all, I love when you see animals that are treated ethically and responsibly and used very well in movies. Not to mention that the overarching theme of this movie is the exploitation of animals. So we're talking about Jordan Peele's movie Nope. This is the first movie where I have ever seen somebody responsibly use horses in an ethical manner to where they're not being exploited on the TV screen. Now, this is obviously in no way a movie review. I'm not going to talk about the entire plot, the meaning behind the movie. This movie just has a lot of baggage to it. So I would recommend that if you want the full story, to go and watch this movie yourself. And the other thing is, I would recommend watch the movie before watching this video, because spoiler alert, I am going to be talking about a lot of stuff that is in this movie, and it's going to give away a lot of the plot. Even though I'm not going to specifically be talking about the plot, just the treatment of the animals that are being used in the movie. So the movie Nope centers around a horse training facility right outside Hollywood. They essentially train horses that are used in Hollywood films, and the entirety of the movie focuses around the exploitation of animals, even down to the very first scene of the movie, where you can see a chimpanzee being used on a television set, ends up going crazy and killing a bunch of people on the television set. Now, this scene is actually a reference to a real-life event, which is the chimpanzee Travis. I believe that he was actually used in media productions for most of his life and was heavily drugged by his owners and exploited on TV. He ended up lashing out and ripping a woman's face off. I believe that he did a few other things to her. I don't want to get too graphic on here, but essentially this is kind of referencing a real event. And it's just very interesting that the very beginning of this movie, we get to see the theme set in place, which is the exploitation of animals in Hollywood. So the movie Nope is actually filmed on a real-life ranch, And all of these horses, as you can see, I mean, most of the time they're literally just in stalls and behaving like normal horses. This is a real riding facility. This is a real riding arena. I like the fact that there's so much realism to this and it's a real place. They even turned all of the trick horses out, the movie horses, if you will, into the arena and just kind of let them gallop around. They're not asking the horses to behave differently or putting the horses in weird situations. This is just normal horse stuff, which is so exciting to see because it sounds dumb, but you so often don't see horses being treated like real horses on movie sets. Another detail is every single horse in this movie has properly fitted tack. Not riding horses in properly fitted tack does cause serious problems for horses. Mentally, physically, etc. It can cause tissue damage, back damage, muscle damage, nerve damage. Horses need properly fitted tack, and something that you see so often is people will just throw any saddle, any blanket, any bridle on a horse and call it good because they just don't know anything, when in reality that contributes to a long list of abusive practices that causes horses to have serious issues. All of these horses are professional trick-trained horses, and really the only trick that we get to see these horses do in this movie, apart from running from cue to cue, is laying down, which is a really easy, simple trick to teach horses. There's nothing abusive about this at all. And in this movie, you can see that the way they're getting these horses to lay down is actually one of the more ethical ways of teaching it. It just makes me happy because just the little details in this movie, just to start with, the handling of these horses, the way that they behave around the horses, the tricks that the horses do, the environment, the tack, all of these little details just really go to show you the attention to detail that Jordan Peele put into this movie to ensure that he wasn't exploiting these horses himself. This next scene is really important because after OJ's dad dies at the beginning of the movie from a pouring down of random metals from the UFO that is above, because obviously this movie is about an alien, spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. This is the only scene where we see an injured horse in the entire movie. And obviously this horse is not actually injured. This is obviously half of a piece of a key that's glued onto the horse's rear end, or it's just CG. And I just think this scene is a really unique depiction of how you don't have to actually, physically injure animals or put them in dangerous situations in order to get that shot. Here they are on a movie set where he is essentially trying to discuss safety around his horse that's being used on a movie set. This scene is perfectly representing how Hollywood does not respect the ethical treatment and handling of horses or any other animal on set. None of these people listened to his safety advice. They're not listening to him. They're not respecting how they need to behave around this animal. And they don't care because they obviously don't care about exploiting animals or putting animals in dangerous situations. And it is ultimately their fault for exploiting or attempting to exploit this horse by putting this horse in a weird situation as to why the horse acts out. He also made a reference to don't look the horse in the eyes. This is not real because this is just something that they are placing in the movie for later use with the alien, because the alien is very predatory and has a predatory response to other animals that look him in the eyes. But anybody who knows horses knows that if you stick a mirror in front of the horse's face, they're going to freak out. So I want to break this down from this point forward by talking about each chapter, because the chapters are named after horses / one monkey, one alien. Starting off with the first chapter, which is Ghost. Ghost is the white horse in the movie, and essentially Ghost is out in Turnout in this scene, and the alien ends up coming into frame because he's a predator and he's on the prowl and he's out hunting. And Ghost gets really, really nervous. Therefore, he jumps out of the turnout and he runs away. Now, you never really know what happens to Ghost, but it's pretty much insinuated that he probably was eaten by the alien. And personally, I kind of think that Ghost was killed by the alien. That's just my opinion, but we never really know. That is one of the most beautiful things about this movie, is Jordan Peele does a phenomenal job of getting his point across, while also not putting animals in dangerous situations. I feel like if this movie was produced by any standard Hollywood producer that regularly exploits animals, they would be like, no, 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 we need the shot. We need the shot of the alien coming in and killing the horse. So I love the fact that Jordan Peele does not show any of the horse's deaths. All that we see is Ghost running away. Next chapter, we have Clover. OJ is seen here in his barn turning off the lights and checking on all of his horses because he's a good horseman, obviously, as we all are. He comes across 3 kids in his barn that are dressed up as aliens. Now, obviously, these scenes go deeper than what I'm explaining it to be. There's a lot more to the story than what I'm explaining. Clover was let out of the stall. OJ walks down the road to find Clover just kind of chilling and just begins to walk him back when he encounters the alien. This freaks out Clover, and Clover takes off running because he spooks back to the house or somewhere on the property, and it's pretty much insinuated that Clover also is killed. Another perfect example of how to showcase an animal's death properly without putting them in harm's way or making them do dangerous tricks. How fun would it be to be one of these horses on set where all that these horses are doing is just galloping in these big fields for these shots? I mean, this would honestly be so much fun for any horse. My horse does this every day just on his own. Moving on to the next chapter, which is Gordy. Now, Gordy is the chapter that is essentially about that beginning story of the chimpanzee being exploited on the TV set. One other thing that's important to point out is the chimpanzee used in Jordan Peele's movie is CG. It's not a real chimpanzee. Chimpanzees are wild animals. They're not domesticated animals, and they have no place on television sets or anywhere in entertainment. Gordy ends up killing the majority of people on set, except for one little boy who ends up believing that the reason Gordy didn't kill him was because of their special bond. However, this was just a fallacy in his mind to believe that he has some sort of emotional connection or deeper connection with a wild animal than what he actually does. Because in reality, the reason why the chimpanzee didn't attack him was because he wasn't looking the chimpanzee in the eyes, which could be seen as a threat or threatening to the chimpanzee. However, this is important to the story because the boy who lives through this event later becomes the person who buys the theme park and decides to start feeding an alien horses because he thinks he's taming the alien, just like he thought he was friends with Gordy. So now we move on to the next chapter, which is Lucky. Lucky is the horse that we saw in the very beginning, the black horse that was being used on the television set. So in the next chapter, Lucky, we see that Lucky is at the amusement park and he is being offered up to the alien. This guy is hilarious because he went from being on a television show that exploited a chimpanzee to now creating his own show of exploiting horses for people's entertainment and even exploiting the alien for people's entertainment, thinking that he has some sort of control over this alien or relationship with this alien. However, this backfires on him severely, just like it did on the set of Gordy with the chimpanzee. OJ ends up going there to try to retrieve his horses. After this event happens, you can see that they're trying to figure out a new way to videotape this alien and catch him. So this is the perfect scene where you can see OJ is desensitizing Lucky. These scenes I think are really cute and they're really well done because you can see that this horse is just so well trained. And I love how they just have the horse standing in the arena like that, just by himself, just chilling, just doing his own thing. This scene is literally just a horse standing in an arena looking at an inflatable thing. I mean, it's just so well shot. Like there's so much simplicity to this. Jean Jacket is our last chapter of the movie. Jean Jacket is referring to the alien. However, it's also a reference to another horse. Opening scene, you can see OJ sitting on Lucky with properly fitted tack and riding him with proper equitation. He's riding him down a pathway to try to lure the alien out into the open and get him to chase them so they can catch him on video. The equitation is really, really good. This is one of the few scenes where we get to see OJ actually ride. And this is real riding. I do believe that this is actually this specific actor. And he's got good equitation. He's riding really nicely. He's pretty well balanced in the saddle. And you can tell that he's probably been taking a good amount of riding lessons, which I really, really, really like. Not to mention that he's not pulling back too much on the horse's mouth. He's kind of just letting the horse run and be a horse. He's not really whipping the horse. You can see when you slow it down, this is just for dramatic effect. The best thing about these scenes at the end is it shows a good rider, somebody who actually put in time to learn how to ride. And if this is not the original actor riding this horse, then whichever stunt double they had riding the horses in the movie did a fantastic job of actually riding the horses well. Something that you see so often in movies is people who ride horses and they're all over the place. They're flailing around, they have bad equitation, their feet are all the way out to the side. It makes it much more difficult on the horse and harder on the horse's back to carry you when you're riding like a sack of potatoes. And it encourages other people to ride poorly because they think that that's how people are supposed to ride horses, which is not true. Also, these final scenes are just so cool. I mean, I don't want to explain too much of the movie or what's happening or the plot because really I just think that everyone should watch this movie. However, if you were wondering, Lucky does survive this scene, as does OJ. And they are later seen trying to lure the alien out of the area so that way his sister can get away. Again, we have another shot of the horse laying down. Again, you get these really cool final shots of him luring the alien away from his sister so she can get away. Now, fast forward to the end of the movie because we don't see too many horse scenes after that. Did OJ and Lucky live? Probably not. And this is another scene of a horse dying that wasn't shown. And I just love that. It's honestly like even more amazing than a lot of people who have been reviewing this movie who don't know anything about horses think it is, because everyone thinks this movie is amazing, but it's just even more amazing than people think because the treatment of animals in this movie is so much better than any other movie that involves horses. So the overall message I guess I want to get across by making this video is yes, it is possible to responsibly use horses in Hollywood movies or films. And this movie perfectly exemplifies how horses, if you're going to use them, should be treated on Hollywood sets. So thank you so much for watching this video. This really was just a fun video that I wanted to put out because I've been wanting to talk about this movie ever since I saw it. Let me know what you guys think about this movie in the comments down below. Did you watch it? What did you think? Did you like it? Etc. Let me know, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!